Welcome, everyone. My name is Isaac Zablocki. I'm Director of Film Programs at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan. We are also home to the ReelAbilities Film Festival that I am proud to be a part of. I will just describe myself for those with low vision or blindness. I am a very pale man with a receding hairline. That's what I go with. Wearing a checkered black and white shirt on a hipster gray background, as I like to call it. There's also a picture of Peter Pan that I drew in pencil in my background too, that I'm always very proud to see on these Zooms, because it's the only thing I've ever drawn well in any way. But enough about me. I'd love to tell you a little bit more, first of all, about some upcoming programs at the JCC. Unfortunately, we have moved mostly virtual again, and that allows a lot of access to other people, which is really great. But we also like seeing all of you in person, and having these screenings happen in person as well will continue. We strive to bring things back to in person and keep our virtual as strong as possible. We were really excited to be able to pivot this film, For Me, which we moved into virtual. Our upcoming film festival, which is the Cinematters New York Social Justice Film Festival, is coming up on the 13th, MLK weekend. Couldn't be a more appropriate weekend. And we will be running that completely virtually, so you'll have access to amazing, important films throughout the weekend of MLK weekend. And of course, we're going to have all of our conversations in this kind of format, live via Zoom. This conversation is also accessible as well. So we have live captioning. You can just click on the captioning bar below, and the live transcript bar, and that will give you access to our live captioner. I'll also note the ReelAbilities Film Festival will be back in New York, hopefully as a hybrid film festival. That's our plan right now, to have it both in person and virtual. And it's going to run April 7th till the 13th in New York. Tonight's film is being presented, as I mentioned, by ReelAbilities Film Festival. We hope people were able to take advantage of the full accessibility to the film, and enjoy the film, just as also a great movie too. I haven't seen this genre of thrillers. I don't get to see enough of them these days. I don't know if they're just not there anymore, or as much, or not coming my way. Definitely not within the realm of ReelAbilities. I don't get to see enough of these. And we're really proud to have with us tonight the lead actor from the film, Skyler Davenport. Skyler, thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Skyler's coming in live from LA. I think I'm hearing you a little low. If you're
a little okay. I don't know how to adjust audio settings. That sounds right.
But I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you okay now.
How's this? Is this a little bit better?
Fabulous.
I turned my mic up as high as it'll go, so.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us. Folks at home, if you have any questions, you could put them in the chat. We will call on you. If you can't put them in the chat for whatever reason, you could also just raise your hand, either virtually or on camera, and we will get to you and communicate with you and call on you and let you know. Everything will be communicated. I'll just start off with a few questions. So Skyler, tell me how much do you know about the background of where this film came from, what it was its seed?
I mean, I know what the writers told me the first trip that I made out to Canada, Adam and Tommy. As I understood it, Adam had gotten a hold of knowing about these apps for the visually impaired, which was really cool. I thought he had made up the idea, because I had never even heard of it as a visually impaired person. It had never, crossed my realm of awareness. So that was really, really cool. and he just sort of started building, you know, a story around it, and then like, oh well, what could like what could go wrong, you know, all of these things that could happen. And I think just over time came up with this incredible script that is now what you see. So
and it's, I have to say, beyond being a wonderful script, also wonderfully directed. Tell us a little bit about the director. I mean, really, I was at the edge of my seat. This is a very well, I don't know, I mean, I don't know what kind of production budget there was, but
yeah,
this was a really well produced film that was directed just like, I hope all of you felt that way. I mean, it was a page turner. I was in suspense the entire time. And that's like talent.
yeah, Randall, like I couldn't ask for a better director, honestly. He's incredible. And he also has a huge background in like VR. He did a big VR project in photography and just all of that virtual reality stuff. So he's got a really good sense for like colors and the movement and the tonality of stuff. So I think that's something huge that stands out with this, as opposed to a couple others in the same genre. It's so like artistically shot. And then we had amazing DPs, Jordan and Jackson, who were also very incredible. So yeah, but Randall was just a delight. I think he's on a plane right now, so that's why he's not joining us.
I hope he's not catching COVID on that flight.
No, he's not.
So really so well made, so well told, and of course the casting is, I have to say, fantastic, and we really salute the fact that this was authentically cast. As you mentioned, you have vision loss, and how did they find you? How did you find them? Were they only looking at actors with vision loss, or?
That last bit I can't answer. They sent me a message saying, you know, we're looking to cast this role. And apparently they had been trying to cast it for quite a while, which I didn't find out until after we wrapped. But they sent me an email saying, you know, we've been told that you are visually impaired. And if that's the case, you know, you fit the age, the everything else that we're looking for, and we'd like to have you read. So I did a self-tape, I sent it in, and about 2 months went by and I didn't hear anything. And then this was before COVID, I went in to read in person with the director and the 2 casting directors, and they sent that tape to producers. And then I wound up taping one more time. And then after about 6 months, they finally, you know, said, this is yours, and come to Canada so we may shoot.
Fabulous, and
Yeah.
we really salute their efforts to make
Yeah.
sure, and I think did really great casting. Do you ski, by the way?
Not even a little. And if I did, I would probably die. I skied about 2.5 feet into a mat.
Well, you pulled it off. You made it seem like you had the the confidence. So one of the things that I loved about this film, and I think that's what makes this film more than just a thriller, is that there's a very smart subplot there, which is your storyline, as far as, and I think this relates back to also the title of the film. Your storyline being one of, Sophie's storyline, technically, being one of not wanting help, wanting the independence, and figuring out that balance. How do you track that storyline within the character throughout the film?
Yeah, well, so we definitely, I mean, I didn't want her to be too one-dimensional where she's too much of a B word. So there was always that balance of like having this kind of a hard ass, you know, attitude, but also having little sprinkles of like vulnerability in the times that she does have to ask for help, like, you know, when your life is in danger. Yeah, that was definitely a balancing act throughout the film, and I had help from Randall and everybody else, so.
I think that plays a big part in disability life, as far as like finding that balance between wanting total independence. I can do this on my own. Nobody wants to be, I mean, the type, going back to the title of the film, See For Me. Nobody wants somebody else to see for them.
For them, yeah.
You want that ownership.
Yeah.
And of course, I think not to give away too much for anyone who's who hasn't seen the film, but of course, I think we see, that Sophie survives, manages to find help in the right ways, but also manages to do things on her own and realizes that it's okay to accept help and also capable to do things independently. And I think that's a beautiful statement and a fabulous area to explore that this film does very responsibly, in my opinion.
Yes, I would have to agree.
How, as far as accessibility on the set, was there any special accommodations that you needed? That
I mean, I did have somebody at the airport waiting at the gate for me just to help me navigate Toronto Pearson. And then, I mean, I obviously can't drive, but that's the case on any film set. So I wouldn't call that like accessibility. Like, they drive you to the set. So I don't know that that was unique to me. But they were always very careful, especially when we had, like, with all the guns and some of the little stunts. Like, there's nothing too crazy as far as stunts go. But I did have a stunt double, Tori Ann, in case I felt uncomfortable doing anything. And the main thing that she did was the real hard, like, face plant onto the marble. I did like the top and the bottom, and she was in the middle, just because it was dark and there was a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, no, they made every effort to make sure I was comfortable. And I said, I'm good with anything, and I'll let you know if I all of a sudden am not. So.
Preparing for the role, did they have you watch any other films, any specifics that you needed to know to fit into this?
No, they
world?
didn't have me, review anything. They did have me do a intensive firearms training at Movie Armaments Guild, which was funny because I'd actually already had firearms training with Anchorage Police Department. And so I went in and he's like, okay, this character doesn't know how to use a gun, right? Like, you look like a cop right now. We need to, like, make sure you look like you don't know what you're doing. So I did just the firearms training. And then I didn't really get to walk through the house until we were shooting. So that was actually really cool because I was discovering it with her. But outside of, like, firearm safety and table reads and stuff, they didn't really. It was more that Randall and the team wanted to know my background to, like, sort of see if they could incorporate anything, just special moments. So.
And was that incorporated? Were there those special moments?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly interaction between Randall and I on set of, like, how this was going to read for the camera, just to make sure that it came across authentically.
And the note that you mentioned, I'm going back to how they found you. How did they know that you were an actor with vision loss? And is that something you put out there, or?
How did they find it? Yeah, it would have been because on the profile, if you have, like, a disability and you need, like, not an accommodation, I don't know what the right word is for it. It's just to basically give production a heads up that this is a thing. And so that box was checked, and they must have somehow either found that or, like, I don't know, IMDb, maybe. They had been searching for quite a while. So that's actually a really good question. I don't know how they found out that I was visually impaired, but I imagine it was something that had to do with all of the casting sites. And just if you need, like, I think I know what it was, is as one of the special skills, it was white cane mobility trained, because I am visually impaired and white cane mobility. So that's actually probably it.
Fascinating, and fascinating that they could find that too. Because I know that's also one of the
weird skill.
It is. But one of the challenges, yes, is sometimes, to find the right actor with the specific disability, and it takes that extra effort. And again, hats off to them.
I'm sure that was a process.
Before I ask my final question, again, if there's any questions from the audience, this would be your time to ask. I know a lot of people had written to me over the weekend as they watched the film to eager to find out more, but maybe we've answered most of the questions already. But I will note also that this film, I want to give a huge thank you to IFC Films who provided this film for us, and they are releasing this film day and date, meaning in theaters and VOD this Friday. So it's going to be on the IFC platforms wherever you can find them. I don't know what's going on with the specifics of COVID and the in-person screenings, but definitely on IFC.
Neither do I.
But I wanted to ask about the house. So this is kind of like the production question. First of all, so I was enjoying just trying to figure out the house myself from the.
It was incredible.
Yeah. So was that all shot in one house?
Yes, and that is all gargantuan, steroidally huge establishment. It's huge and
That's
beautiful.
And beautiful. How long was the shoot? How long?
Depends. Well, so with COVID, I was there February and March of 2020, July and August of 2020, December 2020, and then a tiny bit of January 2021, because every time I went back, there was a 2-week quarantine period where you had to stay. So a month of that was me being in a little apartment, just waiting to be able to leave. So, yeah.
Oh, they didn't let you stay in the house because that's not too bad.
No, that would have been, well, I mean, there was like the stuff in there, like the production stuff. So that would have been nice though. I mean, oh, that house.
I see that we have one question in the chat that you kind of told us a little bit where the story came from. I did want to note that the film, of course, it's I think American premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yeah, it did. Mm-hmm.
And we're really proud also to be showing this film with audio description. So hopefully that audio description is available everywhere. And at ReelAbilities, we try to show all of our films fully accessible. I think IFC also deserves that credit for making that available. I'm giving our audience one last chance for any questions. If you have any hands up, we will be happy to call on you and find out any answers. Is there talk of a sequel?
This actually got joked about this morning. That would be definitely a production question, not that I've heard of. So I would like to see Kelly and Sophie meet up in real life, but
that would be cool. They could have their own little TV series, actually.
I'd like to see all of us, just the world, meet up in real life in general.
Yes, that will happen too someday, I hope. Yeah. What are you working on next? What's coming up for you?
I'm actually not allowed to talk about it because my life is under NDA.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
It is, yes, it's great. Yeah, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say like the service that.
Probably
my lips
not.
Are sealed. My lips are sealed.
But you could say that a large service is keeping you from telling you to.
Yes.
Disclosing your next project.
Yes,
well, we look forward to seeing you in your next project, and thank you so much for being with us, folks. Tell your friends about this film. Drive audiences to watch this film, and we look forward to seeing you at other upcoming events, either through the JCC or through ReelAbilities Film Festival. Thank you all very much, and have a good night.